Hello, welcome back to this channel or welcome to this channel. My name is Jackie and I'm obsessed with planners and journals. Today I'm here to share with you my December bullet journal setup. But before we start, I just want to say that if you enjoyed this video or if you want to see more bullet journal related videos, or if you are just feeling generous, I would love if you'd consider subscribing. It means a lot to me and Vicente also appreciates it. Now with that out of the way, let's start. And it is beginning to look a lot like Christmas, and I'm not ready to let go of Halloween yet, and I'm not into a Christmas mood, so I thought setting up a bullet journal would help me to get there. And I also, as you can see, haven't even finished setting up my Christmas tree, just the bottom part, so I would have some nice images for this video. Anyhow, I'm also obsessed with Jack Skellington, as you can see here with my mug collection, and I thought, oh, that's the perfect theme for this year. So if you want to see my A Nightmare Before Christmas inspired bullet journal, just keep watching. This is the notebook I'm currently using. It is an Archer & Olive A5 Blackout notebook, the Halloween special edition with the little birds on the cover, and I really love this book. I do have a rewards link from Archer & Olive and I will leave that down in the description box. If it is your first purchase, I think you get 15% off, and if 3 people use my code, I get $35 off whenever I buy from them. I decided to start with a cover page, of course, for the month, and I wanted to start with Jack right away, so I just grabbed one mug from my mug collection to do his circular face, and first I started using a Posca pen to paint all over his face, but then I realized I wanted to cut it off first because I love cutting off pages from my bullet journal. So I grabbed the scissor and start cutting off the page around that circular face that I have already done with pencil before, so I can feel more secure. And I usually love doing this so much to my pages. I know it can be a little bit scary, but you will see here that I have no fear and I just like cutting off pages, and sometimes I make mistakes and I cut more than I should, as I did here, but I will fix that later on. I usually use both scissors and an X-Acto knife to do this because I find that the X-Acto knife is easier to cut around the spine. Then I'm going back with that Posca pen and I'm just painting everything all around his face, just leaving the blackout page on the eyes because I just wanted to use that blackout beautiful page at the bottom of what I'm creating. But the other parts I just went ahead and cover everything with the white Posca pen. I was having a little bit of trouble getting Jack's face from curling up, so I grabbed that mug back again and put it on top of his face so he would stay in place while I was preparing his hat with some leftover scrapbook paper, and I just went back with that white Posca pen and was just making small dots to create some texture in the Santa's hat. After that, I was confident enough that the ink has dried, so I went ahead and started drawing his face, and you will see here that I have a reference image from my iPad here by my side, and you will see this iPad throughout the video because I'm not an artist and I'm not very good at illustration, so I always need a reference image, and I just try to do the best that I can to look similar to the image, and actually I really like how this Jack face turned out. Before moving on to the second part of that circular shape, I decided to finalize the Santa's hat and leave it by my side until I was ready to use it. Since my concept was like a transition from Halloween to Christmas, on the right side of the page I decided to use that same circular Jack face to create a Christmas garland. I think that's how you pronounce it. I thought this was going to be like the Christmas part of the cover page, so I'm just going ahead with these Artistro pens, I think that's how they are called, and I'm also going back with some Posca pen to add some more details to my garland. Now I'm going back to that Halloween side of the cover page, and I'm just looking back on my October bullet journal pages to get a reference for what I was going to do here, and I decided to go with a kind of jack-o'-lantern style, following that same look I had for my October cover page. And of course I will link that video down in the description box if you want to check that out. And I'm just using another of those ink pens that I have. After that, I decided to create a border with my white Posca pen again, and I decided to create this kind of skeleton mouth divider here that you will see on all of my spreads, because it will be the element that will keep everything cohesive, and it will give that identity of a group on all of the spreads I'm going to create. I'm also using the Posca pen to write down December here on the cover page, and I usually just look at Google for some fonts so I can get inspired, because I'm not really good at lettering, and you will see I make a lot of mistakes and it was not centered, so I decided to come back and add this little skull on the right side. I decided that the background was way too plain for my taste, so I decided to go ahead and start writing down the lyrics for that Kidnap the Santa Claus song from the movie at the background, and I'm just playing around with some different fonts so it won't get way too boring. And it was a lot of fun actually to write down the parts of the song, even though it's not correct here, but we can ignore that. By the way, one of the things I love the most about this movie is this Santa Claus stuff. I love it. I'm never calling Santa Claus again. I'm calling Sandy Claus. And now I can even say the actual name, but we are moving on. I decided it was not Christmassy enough, so I went back to that skull I painted before and decided to edit a little Santa hat right there, and I'm just using my ink pens to kind of add some texture as well. Now I'm moving on to the Christmas side of that page, of the cover page, and I'm just adding a little tree, and I'm going to transform this in a kind of snow globe, so it will complement well that pumpkin, the jack face, and now a snow globe to be part of this transitioning into Christmas period. That's what I'm thinking about it here. And I'm just going back and forth with some silver and white Posca pens. And this is how it turned out. I'm really proud of this, even though my first concept was to have this like moving hat, as you will see here. I really struggled with it, and then at the end I had to just give up on it and just go ahead and glue the Santa hat to the jack face. My original idea was to have like this moving kind of a bookmark thing that I could just take off Jack, but sometimes things just don't work, and I really wanted to leave this here so you can see you can always adapt your first idea to create something special. At the end, I love how it turned out. Now I'm moving on to the second spread, which is my monthly task page. This is the most important spread in my bullet journals. I really rely on this spread, so I decided to go an extra mile and try to make it even more special. So I decided to grab some watercolor paper. It's not actually watercolor paper, it's mixed media. So you can see right here that the paper was almost giving up on me, and it was starting to just fill with water, and it was not really giving me the effect that I was going for. But I kept going and I kept constructing on top of the watercolor because I was really trying to do a kind of galaxy thing, but I wanted it to be very dark, so I had to go through a lot of layers, as you will see, and I'm just playing around with some dark blues, some more light blues, and some magenta as well. And at the beginning it really looks like it's not going to work at all, but I really like the end result, and you can only see when it's done, because right now it looks a mess, and I'm using my hair blower to just dry the watercolor faster. The watercolor part took a very long time, and now I'm just coming back with some white acrylic paint and some water to create the little stars, and I'm just spreading all over my desk and my hands and everywhere, as you can see here. You already know how much I love working with mixed media, and I think this December bullet journal setup is the perfect example of that. I really enjoy working with different material. So here I wanted to create that full moon, that kind of yellow full moon that we have at the poster of the movie. So I decided to go with some yellow scrapbook paper because I thought I was not going to be able to recreate that, or it was going to take even longer than it was already taking. And I also love the texture that some extra collage bring to my bullet journal, so I decided to add that before coming back and drawing that mountain that we have, that iconic scene that I really love. For this painting, I decided to add Jack and Zero silhouette. I thought it would look really nice with that kind of full moon, yellow full moon right there at the back. And then I went ahead again with some acrylic paint to paint the mountain because I really wanted to be really, really black, really dark, so it would contrast with that blue starry sky at the back. I changed it to a smaller brush side here so I could paint this more detailed part of that mountain, that part which is so iconic, and I really like that. I really love this actually, to be honest. I mean, I don't know how to draw and I'm still learning how to paint, but I'm really proud of this little piece that I created here. So that's why I'm always encouraging you to go ahead and try to do something. I'm not good at it and I see a lot of mistakes, but I just have fun. So I'm just gluing that back on my bullet journal. For the actual tasks part of this spread, I'm keeping it simple with just some Posca pen, and I'm just writing tasks and creating that same border that you saw on my previous spread. And at the end, I will also add some washi tape just because I had this Frankengoop washi tape that it is so pretty that I thought I had to use for this month. So now we are moving on to my monthly overview page that I use basically just for social media, and I'm keeping it simple at the beginning. I'm just drawing like the monthly spreads, the monthly view, the monthly calendar and just using some ink pens as well. And now I'm coming back with inks like stamp ink, and this looked like a good idea at the beginning, but it was so hard to do, and I had ink all over my desk and everywhere, and it's still not dry. And then it was so hard to draw on top of it. As you are seeing here, the pens were not really working very well on top of that ink, so it took me a very long time. This was the spread that took me the longest, I believe, and I made a lot of mistakes, and of course you can see some of them here. Whenever I would just touch it, it would just let the ink go, and I don't know, but I like the end result. So I'm just trying to create Sally's dress right here, like her really iconic dress. And we are moving on because that spread took me so long that I don't want to keep talking about it. The last spread I'm going to share here is actually the fastest and the easiest of them all. I just went ahead again to that mixed media paper and decided to draw the Oogie Boogie, and I really love this character, so I had to go back to it, and I was too lazy to use watercolors, so I just went ahead with my Eco lines, and I think it worked quite well. I have never used them like this before. I'm also adding that same border that you are already tired of seeing me create it, but I just feel like it gives some identity to the spread and makes it a unity and not just like independent and different spreads. But I'm also adding the title, and now you can see that I have a visitor right here, and Vicente was really needy and he wanted some cuddle, so I will have him in my lap for the rest of the video. And it was really hard to draw with the cat on top of me, but I was with my heart full of love and I was really happy that he was here. So to finish this spread, I'm just adding some Christmas lights, and I think that's it for this one. So I went back to this spread because I was feeling like it was missing something, and I decided to add that same border so it will be more as a part of the full monthly view and not as something independent. And at the end, I really enjoyed the result, even though it took me way too longer than it should. So it's now time for the final flip through of this month's setup. I'm really happy with the result. I think it was the one that took me the longest of all the spreads I've shared here, of all the setups I've shared, but I really like the end result, to be honest. I think it was what I was expecting. It has a little bit of spoopiness in there, but it still feels like Christmas, so I'm really happy with that. I hope you enjoyed watching. I'm still trying to learn how to do these voiceovers and these types of videos, but I have fun making them. So I really hope you enjoy it as well, and maybe it will give you some ideas. Thank you so much for watching as always, and I will see you soon. Bye bye!